Welcome back, guys. In today's video, I'm gonna let you guys know why I sold my Rolex Explorer 2 16570 after 1 year of ownership. Guys, I love that timepiece, but there's one reason why I sold it out of all the many reasons why I loved it. So before we get into the video, guys, give it a thumbs up, share it at some point, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And now let's get into the video. So guys, let me start off with some of the reasons why I purchased this timepiece in the first place. Why I actually love the timepiece even till this day. For one, it's the size. That 40mm Oyster case is beautiful on my wrist. 40mm is the largest size I think I'm comfortable with. And with the slim profile, the height of the watch, it just looked great on my 7-inch wrist. Also, the lug width, perfect. When you compare it to the newer Rolex Explorer 2, the Maxi, it's just a little bit too wide for me. I think this generation is the best Rolex Explorer 2, if you ask me. Next thing that I loved about this timepiece was the black dial. Between the polar dial and the black dial, guys, I prefer the black dial. The white dial seems too white, too formal, and hard to really blend in a casual setting. Sure, you could pull it off. Many people do. Most people prefer, I think, the white dial. I think that's the most sought after one between the two. But for me, I prefer darker dials, and the black one did it for me. A third reason why I loved this Rolex Explorer 2 16570 is because it was the underdog and the undervalued timepiece within the Rolex GMT space. So if you guys think about the Pepsi, the Batman, timepieces like these, those were way more sought after than the Explorer. Now the Explorer, the only difference between the Explorer is it doesn't have the movable bezel. It's a fixed bezel that to me stood out as well. Even though I do love and appreciate the two-tone bezels, the ones that's actually turn on the GMTs, but it stood out in comparison to all the other Rolexes. It stood out in a way that wasn't in your face. That's another reason why I liked it. It didn't scream, hey, I'm a Rolex. For people that know, yes, they would know that this is a Rolex Explorer, it's a Rolex timepiece, but it didn't have the similar bezel like, let's say, a Submariner or the GMTs, where you'll know, hey, that's definitely a Rolex. So guys, those are some of the reasons why I love the timepiece and the reasons why I purchased it. Over time, through ownership, I came to realize, okay, what's the purpose of this timepiece? It's a Rolex Explorer, yes, it's for exploring, which I don't really do much in the sense of that type of exploring. I explore cafes, different food spots, things like that, but that's about it. But then to the GMT function, I never used it in the entire time of ownership. The only traveling I did was on the East Coast. So I went from like New York to Miami, New York to Miami. I never set the time to a different location to where I could reference to it. It just defeated the purpose. I didn't use it for the purpose it was intended for. So over time, it was just like, am I a poser? Am I just wearing a GMT timepiece and I'm not traveling? But again, I didn't use it for what one of its major functions was the GMT function, and I didn't use it. It was just used to tell the time, and that's about it. The functions that I really do appreciate, of course, is the time telling of a timepiece, but also the date function. That's why most of my timepieces have a date function, like my Rolex Datejust and my Omega Constellation. I love the date function. So guys, I'm not gonna make this video too long. That's the one reason why I actually sold the timepiece. I wasn't using it for what one of its major functions was, and it was the GMT functions. I wasn't traveling to, let's say, the West Coast, where I could actually like say, hey, let me set the time for the West Coast and the East Coast so I could, keep track of the times. I wasn't using it. So guys, comment down below your opinion, share the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and guys, stay tuned for the next video.